What's up, guys? Welcome back. I am just getting ready to now start detailing out these catalyst patterns. I've got this one here and then another one on the bench. And that's going to involve waxing or prepping it for mold release and filleting. And you can do it in either order, it doesn't really matter. I prefer to wax first and then do my final filleting and then clean that all up. I find it's just easier to wax, get in there and buff it all out without disturbing the filleting, get that all done, and then do the filleting. But it doesn't matter, you can do it either way. While I'm at it, just thought I'd point out a couple of quick things. I have all of the tools and materials that I use for sort of a given task in a container, and then I will put those on a cart that I roll around with me wherever I'm performing that task. So small thing, but just workflow-wise, ergonomics, it makes life easy. So for example, for this, I've got my wax, modeling dough, filleting tools, some cleanup stuff here. My filleting tools are both loop tools for carving as well as ball tools, and I use them in conjunction with one another along with some various wooden tools for scraping and cleaning. I'll show you some tips and tricks there, but I keep all that together. And so I have everything in one spot. I've even got a simple piece of board that I use for rolling out the modeling dough into beads to then press that into the edges. So again, it's all in one spot. So I'm going to go ahead and wax these out. I've already put one coat of wax on, so I'll probably put one or two more coats on. I don't need to go crazy here. Again, these are type 1 PVC patterns, so the release is really good anyways, and they've been waxed before, so there's a seasoning, if you will, that's happened for these. But I'll put a couple coats on, we should be good to go. I've already put one on, like I said, so I'll go on to second coat here. Nothing super magical, right? Just wipe it on with a normal applicator and then let it haze over. And then I'll buff it off with a microfiber and then do a final cleaning and any residual with just a soft lint-free cloth after that. Most important thing is just follow the manufacturer's recommendations on the time between coats. So it might be tempting to just go back to back with your wax coats, right? So wax on, wax off, wax on, wax off. But the problem with that is that there's solvents inside any typical wax, especially mold release wax, and those need to escape first and burn off before you apply that next layer. Otherwise they'll get trapped, and that could cause some detrimental effects. So best to just follow the manufacturer recommendations. It's typically going to be something like 15 minutes between coats, and then probably an hour after your final coat before you should actually start applying gel coat. But again, follow the manufacturer's recommendations. I will use honey wax. I love this stuff. Goes on really easy, buffs off really easy, and is a great mold release. But I also have Partall #2 paste wax. This stuff is really good as well, but it's a little bit harder to work with. It's harder to buff off, actually. So I'll only use this when I think it's really important for compatibility between this and Partall #10 PVA film, but I rarely do that anymore. But I think that there's probably a little bit better compatibility between this and that. So that's the rare occasion I would use this. The only other reason is this is much easier to come by than this is. You can still get this, but it's a little bit harder. You can't really find it out like on Amazon versus this. You can get it pretty much anywhere. It's pretty cost effective. It's pretty cheap actually. So honey wax, and we're just gonna put a coat of that on and we'll buff it off and we'll be good to go. It's August in California. It's really hot right now. And so it's a good thing to always be aware of your ambience, not just when you're fiberglassing, spraying your gel coat or doing your laminating, but any part of the process will be affected by your ambient temperature, and that includes your detailing and things like waxing and filleting, right? I can see right now that this is hazing over almost immediately, whereas it usually takes a little bit to haze over. So this is a smaller sort of surface area, so not super worried about it. But if I were working with a larger surface area, I would definitely do it in sections to make sure I could get the wax on and wax off in a timely fashion. Otherwise, it gets just that much harder to get it off there. Sometimes I'll go one hand with the microfiber and then the other hand with the sort of the Turkish towel kind of technique. But for the most part, I just get it off there, most of it off with microfiber, and then just come back with the lint-free cloth for little detail and verification more than anything. Main thing is get it all off. You don't want any residual on here because that's going to affect the finish on your mold. And yeah, with this ambient temperature, I can definitely feel the difference. I got on it immediately, and it's already given me a little resistance to get it off there versus what honey wax is normally like in lower temperatures. It really buffs off easily. And the thing with ambient, it's not just the temperature of the air itself. Remember that the material's heating up, the pieces are heating up, so everything has an additive or even a multiplicative effect when it comes to how fast the material is going to go off or cure. In this case, haze over. So just be mindful of it. Always be mindful of your ambient temperatures. I love this part. It's kind of a payoff, right? You feel just how nice and clean that surface is. Very satisfying. And this is what I'm talking about, where I like waxing and buffing it off like this, because I can really get after it without worried about disturbing my fillets, because I really want those to be as clean as possible. I'm still going to clean up those edges after we pull the mold, but the cleaner they are, the less work it is to do. Very nice. And we are good to go. Time to hit that next one.